Today I will tell you about the movie Lollita. Well, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. This is Professor Humbert, driving his car along a country road. His car is looping, and his face is covered in blood. We see a bloody gun in the back seat and a hairpin in his hand. This hairpin belongs to a girl he fell in love with very much and because of which his whole life went awry. The roots of this forbidden love should be sought in the youth of the professor. When he was 14 years old, he fell in love with a girl, but she died leaving an unhealed wound in his soul. Many years later Hubert came to New England and found a cure for his youthful suffering. The professor settled in the house of Charlotte Hayes's widow for two reasons: the house where he was going to live burned down, and Charlotte had a charming daughter Lollita. Seeing the girl, the professor was speechless. He was about to refuse Charlotte's offer to settle with her, but then he noticed a young girl under the strings of a watering machine. A half-forgotten youthful love stirred in his soul again. He began to make notes in his notebook about Lollita and her mother. Charlotte did not really attract him. More often she irritated him with her screaming and quarrels with her daughter, but little Lollita delighted him. The girl felt it, and warmed up Humbert's fiery feeling with all her might, but for her it was just a game. The professor watched Lollita brush her teeth and get up in the middle of the night to eat delicious. He watched her pranks in the yard, tried to spend an extra minute next to her. At the same time, Charlotte hinted that the professor was not indifferent to her, but he simply did not notice it. Lollita told him about it when she asked him to persuade her mother to take them to the lake. During this trip, Charlotte told Humbert that Lollita would soon leave for summer camp, and from there she would move to a boarding house for girls. This news upset the professor, but Lollita's departure left him with pleasant memories. Noticing how he was following her with his eyes, the girl ran into his bedroom, jumped on him, and passionately kissed him. As soon as Lollita and her mother left, Humbert buried himself in the clothes in the girl's closet, and Charlotte's maid found him there. She handed over a letter from the hostess. In it, Charlotte asked Humbert to leave the house because she was desperately in love with him, or he could stay if he was ready to respond to her feelings. Humbert stayed, and soon he and Charlotte got married. He became an exemplary husband, but despite the stamp in his passport, he avoided intimacy with Charlotte with all his might. For this purpose he experimented with sleeping pills. However, he managed to make his wife incapacitated for 4 whole hours, but she still woke up when he went to bed. Humbert goes to the doctor and asks for a sleeping pill, but such that an elephant also falls down for at least 7 hours. Returning home, he finds his wife in tears. She opened the drawer of his desk where he kept his notes about Lollita and Charlotte and read them. Charlotte doesn't want to see him anymore. She writes a letter to Lollita while the professor tries to calm her down. He walks away to pour both scotch, and then the phone rings. An unfamiliar voice says that his wife has died. Humbert does not believe. He goes to Charlotte, but she is not there. He ran out of the house to throw letters into the mailbox, and in the middle of the street she was hit by a car. He takes all the letters and burns them, then goes to the camp to pick up Lollita. On the way he orders a double room in the hotel. Lollita, he says that her mother got sick. When the professor brings her to the hotel, the girl meets the famous author of plays K.R. Quilty. This elderly man shows an unhealthy interest in the young Lollita. Humbert is informed that the room with 2 beds is occupied and he will have to spend the night with Lollita on the same bed. They have dinner, then return to the room and Humbert leaves the girl alone to clean herself up before going to bed. The professor himself goes outside where he starts with old Quilty, who makes dirty hints about Lollita. When the professor returns to the room, the girl is already asleep. In the morning Lollita takes the initiative into her own hands. He makes it clear that this is not the first time for her. On the way, Lollita wants to call her mother and Gubmer tells her the truth. He cried all night after learning about the death of his mother. She had no one left but the professor, and therefore she quickly forgave him for hiding about the death of his mother. Humbert and Lollita travel around the country, stay in roadside motels and have a carefree time. Humbert takes advantage of a chance that not everyone gets. However, the carefree life comes to an end. The professor has attached Lollita to school, and at first everything is fine, but then it seems to him that the girl is hiding something from him. She asks for more pocket money and manipulates her into allowing her to play in a school play. Humbert believes that the girl wants to escape from him. For this she collects pocket money. They quarrel and Lollita runs away. The professor searches for her for a long time in the rain and finally finds her in a cafe. She talks to someone on the phone. he takes her home and Lollita tells him that she wants to leave. Only this time she chooses the route herself. They go on a trip around the country again. Along the way Humbert notices that someone is watching them, and the stranger is not particularly hiding. At the gas station, he sees Lollita talking to some man, but when he asks her about it, she replies that the stranger was just asking for directions. In the hotel, Humbert finds a fit of jealousy and he tries to find out who the girl is so passionate about, but she only laughs in response. She understands that the professor is completely in her power. The girl still runs away from the professor. He loses all hope and returns back to normal work. 3 years later, he receives a letter. Lollita tells him that he got married and is expecting a child. She asks her daddy to send her and her husband several $100s. The professor decides to go to Lollita. He trains with a pistol, learns to shoot. The professor intends to take revenge on the man who took his girl away. Lollita settled on the outskirts in a poor neighborhood. The door was opened to him by an adult girl with a rounded belly, but Humbert saw in her the Lollita he fell in love with a few years ago. He's still going crazy with her. The girl invites her ex-lover into the house. She says her husband thinks Humbert is her father. She also says that she has always loved only Kvisselty, but he kicked her out when Lollita did not want to star in his adult films. Humbert gives the girl $4,000. He asks if he has any chances that she will return to him. Lollita replies that there is no chance. When she was talking about Quilt, the girl mentioned where he lives. Humbert finds Quilty's house and kills him. Humbert was put in prison where he died of a heart attack. Lollita dies a few weeks later during childbirth. That's all for today. Here's a movie without a happy ending. Write in the comments how it is for you. For now.